Yeah, it's Anthony. I just want to make a video response to something I had just seen. I think it's horrific. I think it's a travesty, and I think it should have never aired. Um, this report was featured on Showbiz Tonight, and it had to cover the story of Hulk Hogan and OJ Commons. Now, I originally had not heard about the story until about an hour ago. Now, currently here in Canada, it is 6 a.m. or 5 minutes to 6. And once I heard and saw this story in full, because I went to different sources and wanted to see what other people were saying and wanted to see how the news were covering it. Um, when I finished my search, I knew that I had to make a video response. Now, I myself used to be in the journalism field. I was in there for a number of years. Um, and as a former journalism student, I can honestly say that we were taught to report the news with equality and fairness. That is the number one rule that students in the journalism field in Canada are taught to do. Report the news fair and with equality. And most important, check your facts. Our professors, former uh, news reporters themselves, constantly berated us for checking our facts because they were most important when reporting a story. So I just want to point out that during this filming or broadcast, from my point of view, I can honestly say that I don't think a lot of fairness was dealt in the story. I think it was a sham um, of the journalism report. I think a lot of it had to do with more biased reporting than fair reporting. I think it had to do with one journalist pointing a finger at Hulk Hogan and then a number of other journalism junctures spinning the whole story to what they want to report. And from where I sit, that doesn't sit well with me. And that's why I made a video response. Now, I watched this one report where this lady, this Yahoo basically, said that Hulk Hogan's a monster. He's a nuthead. I can't believe he got cheers and laughs for slamming people and hurting people in the ring. Well, to you, lady, whoever your name is, you shall remain nameless for right now. I really don't care what your name is, but you're gonna hear from me anyway. Um, I just want to say something to you. I can't help but laugh because your comments were just way out of left field, right? And I just can't help but laugh at stupid things that people say. Stupid things that people say, especially a person in your state. Now, lady, if you could do me a favor, what I would like for you to do is pick up a dictionary and look up the words reality and acting. I think that is your first step in discovering the truth. Now, this lady was shooting her mouth off pretty good. And what I could see is she failed to understand the difference between reality and acting. If you want an example of this, you all are familiar with the show Walker, Texas Ranger, right? Say Chuck Norris walks into Tim Hortons here and buys a couple donuts. And some fan goes up to Chuck Norris and says, "Oh, I'm going to steal your donuts and all this." Does that give Chuck Norris the right to kick him in the face? No. And what you see in reality isn't what you're going to see on TV. The truth of the matter is, Hulk Hogan played a part on TV. Now, I want to address the comment. the comment that Hulk Hogan said he understands how OJ felt. Now, I myself don't think that that's a bad comment to say. And let me just back up my opinion so I don't get thousands of hate mails saying, Anthony, I hate you on what you did and kill you and all this. Let me just back up my opinion so you understand where I'm coming from. Now, for anybody to understand where this dude is coming from, you have to walk in his shoes and you have to understand the emotional level he was on. That's all it was. It had nothing to do with physical violence. For anybody to understand any of this story, you have to walk in the guy's shoes. And if you can't do that, then no one has any right to say anything. And with that being said, I just want to point out one more thing. I want to applaud Hulk Hogan for taking the high road and seeking spiritual advice. That's great. I'm glad to hear that. And for the rest of you yahoos who aren't following Hulk Hogan 100%, you guys are a bunch of nut jobs. And remember, even before you watch the news, check the facts to make sure what is being reported on the news is true. I can't stress that enough. I can tell you a little short story of why I got out of journalism. In fact, it had to do with pro wrestling. And a story reported on CNN, Death Grip on pro wrestling. And there was some aftermath that I watched and covered as a journalism student. It was my job to cover the sports area of Death Grip and pro wrestling. And it was my job to cover that story. And because of that story, I walked away from journalism because I didn't want to create a reputation to destroy people's lives. Because in my opinion, I'm too nice of a guy. And with that being said, good morning from Canada. Yeah, it's about 6:02 right now. So, good morning. Or good AM to you.